So you're thinking about buying a pool, but you haven't really made your mind up yet. Here are some things that I wish I had known before I bought a pool that would have really made my life easier while trying to maintain it. The first is keeping up with regular maintenance. You can see my kid behind me currently scrubbing the pool. If you don't put shock in there every week, and if you're not scrubbing it frequently, the algae starts to grow. The problem is the algae can grow more rapidly and it gets out of control. And then at that point, the pool is completely useless. No one wants to swim in a deep green pool, and it takes a lot of work to get it clean from that point. If you just spend a little bit of time on it every few days, overall, it makes the job a lot easier. I don't know if it's visible on camera, but right now, this pool is looking a little green, and that's just from all of the little specks of algae rushing around because we're brushing the bottom. There's a few different ways to get rid of that algae. The first thing you really want to do is shock it, and then you can either vacuum it out, which is fine, but the vacuum connects to the pump and you basically just pump water out of the pool. It's a bit of a wasteful way to do it. You can also make the algae and all the other contaminants clump together. There's two products. One is called clarifier, and then the other is called flocculant. They kind of do roughly the same thing, except that clarifier makes smaller clumps that will get caught in the filter, whereas flocculant makes bigger clumps that drop to the bottom of the pool. There's a lot of videos online that tell you how to use these things. I've ended up going with clarifier, and I actually switched my pump from a cartridge style over to a sand filter because you can actually backwash a sand filter. It's much quicker to keep the thing clean. When we first got the pool and it was a little too cold to swim in, we decided we wanted to try to warm it up, obviously. And there's a few different things we tried. One is the solar cover, which you can see right at the end of the pool there. That really helps if you put it on. Having something that makes it easy to put on and off, like the roller back there, that definitely helps. It's not easy to get one of those covers on the pool by yourself, even with the roller. If you don't have a roller, then it's just a nightmare because it just folds over and gets stuck to the water. Most of the time it's not me swimming, it'll be kids out here, and so it's important that they can get the cover on as well. We tried using some solar heaters. They're basically black panels that you pump the water through and they collect the heat from the sun. But these didn't work that well. The heating was negligible and it's not always sunny out. And actually, you don't always want to swim when it's super sunny. Sometimes you want to swim when it's a little cloudy. That ended up not being very practical and was actually quite expensive for what it was. Eventually, we switched to an electric heat pump. I believe it was a 2.7 kilowatt heat pump. It was supposed to be able to provide 50,000 BTUs maybe. That was fine, but it was slow. And you don't want to run your filter all the time, and you have to run the filter to be able to run the heat pump. And so while it worked, it wasn't practical. One potential advantage to the heat pump is that it can heat and cool the pool. However, we never found ourselves needing to cool it. So take that for what you will. Eventually, we switched from an electric heat pump to just straight natural gas. And it's a 100,000 BTU unit, probably around 80% efficiency. So it's probably putting about 80,000 BTUs into the pool per hour. And I've found that it can warm this pool up by about 1 degree per hour, which is an acceptable rate for heating. This particular pool is 12 by 24 by 4, and there's almost 8,000 gallons in there. So if your pool is bigger and you want to heat it at 1 degree per hour, you're going to need a heater that provides more than 100,000 BTUs. The advantage to the heater, of course, is that it opens up the pool season more. You can open the pool earlier and you can close it later. Now, moving on to what is probably the most important thing, closing the pool. This is a pain, and if it's the first time you've ever done it, you're going to want to make sure you get it done a little earlier than November. I've really regretted it every time I've waited. You have to drain the pool enough that there's not water in the return lines, at least if you live in an area where water freezes in the winter. And this pool has a return at the top and it has 2 drains at the bottom. So what I do is I probably drain about 3/4 of the water out of it, and then I drain those top hoses, but I can't drain the drain, if that makes sense. And so what you have to do is you have to backfill the drain with antifreeze. If you look on Amazon, you'll find an antifreeze that's suitable for the pool. Once you get that in there, you're safe. But you also need to drain the filter, you need to drain the pump, and anything else that essentially has a little drain plug in there, because otherwise it's going to crack over the winter. What I actually do is disconnect the pump and the filter and take it into the garage because they're expensive and I don't want them to break. Now behind me you'll see Melody running around working hard. Well, maybe not, but right now she's responsible for taking care of the pool just on regular maintenance. So every day or two she comes out here, shocks it a little bit, catches any of the leaves that have fallen in, backwashes the filter, and just does those important things that need to happen, because I was not getting out here frequently enough to do that. And since she's been doing that, this pool has been a lot less work, and it's usually clean enough that everyone's happy to go swimming in it. And so I guess at the end of the day, you have to ask, has this pool been worth it? And I would say yes. The kids love coming out here and swimming. They'll come out here for hours at a time. It's good exercise and it's obviously very fun for them. This particular pool is called a kayak pool, and it's above ground, but it has a deck around it. So we can sit up here while the kids are swimming and keep them company. Anyway, hopefully this video was useful, and I'll see you in the next one.